What's up everybody? Welcome back to my channel. It's Natalie here. Today I am filming a finance video. Haven't filmed one of these in a few months now and I'm really excited to kind of get back into it, get back into the groove of things, not film, only vlogs. Want more of these, definitely be sure to thumbs up and also subscribe if you like my channel and like this content. But today I'm going to be doing a video that I haven't ever filmed quite exactly like this. I filmed other videos similar to this, but nothing exactly like this, and it is how to save money. And how to actually meet your goals, meet your saving goals, save your money. I think this is such an important topic that a lot of people honestly don't talk about because I think it brings a lot of shame with a lot of people. Talking about money in general, talking about saving, it also is a little nerve-wracking to get that first step started, and it can also feel kind of like you're in a hole if you can't save your money, So I definitely think that this is a topic that needs to be discussed, and although money is not everything, it does buy a lot of freedom and it also relieves a lot of stress, and saving money is a really, really important habit to learn how to do. So if I can help you guys out in any way possible, I would be happy. Also, to preface this, I am not a financial advisor. I'm not an expert. I am just someone who I think I have gotten pretty good at saving my money. And of course, saving your money is going to look different for anyone. So some people might want to save $10 a week and that is their saving goal. Other people might want to save $1,000 a week and that's their saving goal. It completely depends on your income level. So it's not really great to compare what someone else is saving to what you are saving. I think it really does depend on your income. And I just want to stress that because I know some people can say I saved this much money in this little amount of time. And you're like, oh my God, how did they do that? But if that person is making $100,000 a year and you're making $20,000 a year, it's a lot easier for them to save more money than you. So just wanted to say that it definitely depends on your income level, but that doesn't mean that you cannot save. You can still save even when you are not making a lot of money, and even depending on your circumstances, there's still ways to save, and I'm hoping that this video can help you out. And I want to share my experience with you with how I save money. So before you even begin to actually save your money, the first thing that you're going to need to have is a budget. And I sound like a broken record because any video that we talk about money, I talk about budgeting, but I don't think I can make a money video or a finance video without talking about budgeting because it's something I wholeheartedly believe in. And I also have a budget template that is completely free, so if you guys want to check it out, I'm gonna have it linked down below. But you first need to see where you are spending your money before you decide to cut back on spending. You need to see where every single expense is going, what you spend the most money on, where your paycheck is going, because a lot of times things can shock you if you're not actually keeping track. I remember when I first started budgeting, it was after college, and I was so shocked at the amount of money I was spending on stupid things. I was even shocked at how many subscriptions I had that I wasn't even using. I still had Chegg, I still had Course Hero, and I was a year out of college. So budgeting is going to let you see where your money is going, and you're gonna actually get a full picture on the reason why you have been unable to save or haven't been able to reach your money goals. The next thing is working backwards once you have your budget. So start with, how much money are you making a month? Sometimes it depends. If you're a freelancer, if you work for yourself, it's going to depend every single month, but by this point you should have a rough estimate on the amount of money you're going to make and how much do you want to save every single month. What is your saving goal? You have to have a goal if you want to actually become a good saver, because if not, you're just pulling money aside, but there's not a big picture goal that you're aiming for. So whether your goal is a certain amount of money, whether it's a certain amount by a certain time, whether it's to buy a house, whether it's to pay off your student loans, whether it's to pay off your debt, get out of credit card debt, whatever it is, what is your goal? You're gonna have to work backwards from there to see how much money you need to be saving every single month. And then once you figure that out, create a new budget around the amount that you now have left over and be realistic. I cannot stress enough being realistic, because sometimes let's say you're making $5,000 a month and your goal is to save $4,000 a month. Living on $1,000 a month is going to be very tricky. It's going to be unrealistic. You're probably not gonna be able to do it, and it's just going to set you up for failure, and it's gonna make you be like, oh, I can't save money, I'm bad at saving. Be very realistic with your saving goal. So let's say you're making $5,000 a month and your goal is to save $1,000 a month. That's a little bit more realistic, and you are more likely to be able to live off of $4,000 a month than $1,000 a month. So be realistic with your budget and make a new budget, subtracting your income from your monthly goal, and have a new budget based on that number. And of course, one thing that I think everyone needs to have is a savings account. I know a few people who think that it's okay to leave everything in their checking and that's it, they just don't touch it. But I really do think having a savings account is incredibly important, not only because if you leave it in your checking account, it doesn't really do anything. You can put it into a high interest or high yield savings account and actually have your money grow, even if it's just by a tiny percentage. Better than nothing. But whenever something is in a savings account, it's kind of like it went away, it was placed elsewhere, you can't touch it. When everything is sitting in your checking account, you might think that you actually are able to spend that money when you have it, or you might be thinking, oh, well, it's no big deal, I have so much money in my bank account. If it's put away into a savings account, it's way less likely that you're actually going to touch that money and you're actually going to be able to save it rather than spend it when, you know, you're tempted to. And so once you have all of that, you have your budget, you have your savings account, take the money out and the second that paycheck hits your bank account, the second you get paid, take the money out. That is so important, especially if you are someone that is very tempted to spend your money. You need to take it out right away. I do this personally with my savings. I also do this with my taxes. I have to pay taxes myself. I don't get it taken out from the company I work for because I am self-employed. So I have to take out a percentage of my income every single time I get paid and move it to a separate tax account, because I know that if it's left in my savings, if it's left in my checkings, I'm gonna think I have more money than I do. So I automatically move it the second that I get paid. Same goes for savings. Whenever I get paid, I remove a percentage of my income, a percentage of my paycheck, and I move it straight to my savings so that I don't even think that I have that money to spend. There are also automated softwares that can actually do that for you. So if you want to use Empower Banking, that's one that I personally highly recommend, and I actually use it still to this day. It's actually really nice. It's kind of like an extra savings account, and it's always like a nice surprise that I have money in there. So I actually get $40 taken out of my bank account every single week, and it gets put into a savings account. For me personally, I love having something that automatically takes money out of my bank account, and if you are someone that needs that accountability or needs that responsibility of someone else automating it, there are ways to do that. And this one is something that a lot of people probably won't want to hear. It's not a glamorous one, but it's really to consider your lifestyle, and this is something that is probably, I would say, the main reason why people actually don't end up saving and they don't have money to save every single month, and it's because of their lifestyle choices. The ones that I'm going to suggest do not apply to everyone, so these are not blanket statements, but if this could be applied to you, then maybe it's something to consider. So here are some choices on how to save money, and again, I cannot stress this enough, they do not apply to everyone, so please don't come at me in the comments, but I think that they could be a good, you know, piece of advice, or maybe a little prompt some idea in some people's heads on how to save a little bit more money. So one of the things is living at home with your parents, and this obviously determines if you have a good relationship with your family, if your parents are willing to let you in, if your parents have space for you. That all depends on that. But if you do have family that will be willing to take you in, it is a good idea to move back home with them temporarily and save some money while you're there. During the pandemic was probably the most perfect time to do that, and I am so happy that I was able to do that actually. That is an option for some people, and I think if you have a goal in mind and you have a very specific goal, like kind of how I had, I wanted to buy a house, you want to pay off your student loans by a certain time, there's no shame in going back home for a little bit to pay that off, especially if the door is open for you. I think it gets a lot of stigma, it gets a lot of hate, but if there is a goal that you need to reach, then by all means do it, and it can definitely save you some money along the way. And also keep in mind, this can be a temporary decision. You can say, I'm going to live at home for 3 months only, and up until you save, I don't know, $5,000 in those 3 months. That's a lot of money that you wouldn't have been able to save if you were paying rent every single month in a city and buying groceries and going out with your friends. You know, you save so much money when you live at home, so it's definitely something to consider, even if it is temporary. Another one is to not buy or not lease a car, just don't own a car. And this one is one that totally depends, and it is completely dependent on the person and your lifestyle. Personally, I would do the math if I were you. I would get an Excel sheet, pull it up, do it manually, and write out the cost if you considered buying a car, figure out the car that you want to buy, consider the cost of buying that car, consider the cost of leasing that car, and you can take that into account of, okay, am I gonna buy this car back at the end of the lease? Am I not going to buy the car back? You know, you can have different options on that Excel sheet. And then not having a car. How much are you gonna spend on Uber every single month? How much are you gonna save on car insurance? How much are you gonna save on maintenance? And then pick out of those three, which one is the best option for you? I think a lot of people think if they live in a city that, you know, is not walkable, that they have to have a car. And a lot of times you actually can rely on public transportation or Uber, and it still is cheaper than paying that monthly car payment, and then car insurance, which is expensive, and maintenance if you have a car that is going to need maintenance every now and then, which most cars do. So consider your options. You don't necessarily need to go with the option that you maybe initially thought of. Maybe not having a car for a few months is actually going to help you save money in the long run. Or maybe not having a car is actually going to waste money and you're spending way too much money on Uber, and then buying a car is actually the more efficient option. So do the math, it totally depends on you, but that's why I recommend getting that Excel sheet out and figuring it out yourself. Next one is having a roommate. This one is a little obvious, but I think a lot of people want to live alone, which I completely understand. But sometimes if you have a savings goal in mind, you might need a roommate for a year. And how much you're going to save if you have a roommate for a year, and that can be kind of your incentive of, okay, if I at least save $10,000, then I'm getting a roommate. And these are just some things that it completely depends on your goals, your saving goals, but if having a roommate is going to help you reach those goals quicker or be on your timeline of meeting those goals, then it's definitely something to consider. And again, all of these lifestyle choices are temporary. I am never, ever, ever going to shame anyone for doing something that might be a little more expensive or maybe a little bit more costly, because you never know the situation people are in, and some people just have preferences and priorities that are different from me and different from you. For example, I get my nails done. I do. I spend money on my nails. I know that you can do them at home, but I choose not to, and I am fine with that. I still save money. I still think I am an excellent saver when it comes to money, and I don't think that I spend my money foolishly. Some people would look at me and be like, oh my gosh, the fact that you get your nails done means that you're stupid with money. So I would never look at someone and be like, oh, the fact that you own a car, the fact that you live alone, the fact that you don't live at home, whatever it is, I would never look at someone and be like, that's why you're not meeting your savings goals. But because you never know where people are actually saving or what their priorities are. So that's why I never want to judge people with their spending habits, but I do want to give suggestions, because maybe one of these apply to you and your priority of saving money is more important than, you know, living alone, and these are some things that you can just consider. I lived in New York City. I could afford to live alone, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to spend all my money on rent for myself when I was totally fine having a roommate. So again, it depends on the person and it depends on your priorities. This one is a very, very specific, and it's a little bit of a newer item on the list, but it is to ask apps not to track your data. Apple's new privacy law actually lets you, like, it pops up on the app, like this app is tracking your data, allow or don't allow. I always hit don't allow now, and I don't really get targeted ads as much to my account, which I love, because oh my gosh, was I a sucker for those targeted ads. Anytime I was on Instagram, I would be scrolling through my stories, I would be scrolling on my feed, and I would get an ad that I was like, I need this. Where has this been all my life? And I was just spending so much money on things I truly did not need. And now that I have like the data turned off, I don't know the exact term for it. Hopefully you guys know, you can look it up. Now that I ask it not to track my data, I don't really get those targeted ads anymore. They're not that specific to me, and I'm so happy about it. So if you are like me and you are too tempted by ads on social media because they know us better than we know ourselves, then turn them off. Because I don't even want to know how much money I've saved by not buying those targeted ads, because I spent a lot of money on the targeted ads, and I'm just so thankful that they're not there anymore. And the last one is to start a side hustle. Add another stream of income. Saving at the end of the day is just making more money than you are spending. So if you cannot cut back on any expenses for some reason, then you have to add an extra set of income so that you can save your money. There's no other way to go about it. I know it's easier said than done, but it doesn't have to be. I actually have a whole video on side hustles that you can do non-social media related, because I did a video on my streams of income, and I got a lot of comments that were like, well, all of your things are social media related, this isn't relatable at all. And I was like, you're right. So I decided to ask my followers the side hustles that they have, how much money they make a week, a month, whatever. And I got a lot of responses, and I got a lot of their feedback and testimonials on it. So if you guys want to watch that video and maybe you want to start a side hustle so that you can start saving more, then I will have it linked down below. And I think it's so important because, again, everything that I mentioned here doesn't have to be permanent. It can be temporary. The only thing I think that should be permanent is your budget. But the lifestyle choices, adding an extra set of income, anything like that, they don't have to be permanent. They don't have to be forever. You can pivot along the way. It's just at the end of the day, in order to save your money, you need to be making more money than you are spending, period. There is no other way to save. If you add another set of income, maybe for the next month, for the next few months, you know it's temporary, I think that it's actually really great to have. You're gonna also feel a lot more freedom in, you know, having an extra set of income in case one thing goes wrong with your other sets. I am a huge believer in having multiple streams of income, and if I can help in any way with that, my job is done. I would love to know your savings goal, how you save money, how much money you've saved in a certain amount of time and what you did. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave it a thumbs up, comment. Of course, I want this to be interactive, subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.